No. Does anybody go, Elon, maybe for yourself, but selling a flamethrower, the liabilities, all the people you're selling this device to, what kind of unhinged people are going to be buying a flamethrower in the first place? Do we really want to connect ourselves to all these potential arsonists?
Yeah, it's a terrible idea. Terrible. Shouldn't buy one. I said don't buy this flamethrower. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. That's what I said. But still, people bought it.
Yeah,
there's
they're not
nothing
gonna
I
listen.
could do to stop them.
If you
I
build
could
it, they
not
will
stop
come.
them. I said don't buy it. It's a bad idea.
How many did you make?
It's dangerous. It's wrong. Don't buy it.
Bill used to get so fucking mad. Beautiful thing about Bill Burr, when we be snapping, Bill was the guy that get mad. Like, it's not funny.
If you went after him,
it's not. None of it's funny. Y'all laughing. Bill would be like, "Where's the punchline in it? There's no punchline." He would get so fucking mad. The Comedy Cellar. The days that we had there, man, Bill Burr, Patrice O'Neal, Keith Robinson, Jim Norton, Colin Quinn, myself. When I say we would sit at this table for 4 to 5 hours and it would be nothing but beautiful trashings.
I was using this lawyer and I was about to work with him. And he said, the lawyer said he wouldn't work with you until you get my contract done. And I was just like, do you not know me at all? I'd be the type to cut off my own. If my hands are like this, I'll cut off my own hand. I come back in the room. They'd be like, yo, what you doing here? I thought we tied you up. I'd be like, and then I go just make like a Luke Skywalker, hand.
All right, if you've been anywhere near the Joe Rogan experience, you know he's had some legendary guests. We're talking scientists, comedians, athletes, and a few people who might just be from another planet. So who's made us laugh, gasp, or question reality itself? Let's break down the top 10 JRE guests who seriously delivered the vibes. Welcome back to Podcast Crazy. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and join the conversation in the comments below. We want to hear your favorite moments from Joe's hilarious conversations and exceptional guests with the crazy topics you want us to cover next time. And now, let's take a look at the crazy guests listed today.
This flamethrower. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. That's what I said. But still, people bought it.
Yeah,
there's
they're not gonna
nothing I
listen.
could do to stop them.
If you
I
build
could
it,
not
they will
stop
come.
them. I said don't buy it. It's a bad idea.
How many did you make?
It's dangerous. It's wrong. Don't buy it. And still, people bought it. I just couldn't stop them.
How many did you make?
20,000
And they're all gone.
in 4 days. But it sold out in 4 days.
Are you going to do another run?
No.
No, that's it.
Yes.
Oh.
I said we would do 20. We did 50,000 hats. That was $1 million. And he's like, okay, we'll sell something and for $10 million, and that was 20,000 flamethrowers at $500 each. They went fast.
Yeah, how do you have the time? How do you have the time to do that, though? I mean, I understand that it's not a big deal in terms of all the other things that you do, but how do you have time to do anything? I don't understand your time management skills.
I mean, I didn't spend much time on this flamethrower. I mean, to be totally frank, it's actually just a roofing torch with an air rifle cover. It's not a real flamethrower.
Which is why it says not a flamethrower.
That's why we were very clear. This is not actually a flamethrower. And also we were told that various countries would ban shipping of it, but they would ban flamethrowers. So to solve this problem for all the customs agencies, we labeled it not a flamethrower.
When you think of Elon Musk, rockets, electric cars, and Mars might come to mind. But what if I told you one of his most iconic creations is a flamethrower? Yes, in one of the most Elon moves ever, he casually launched not a flamethrower through his hobby startup, The Boring Company. Why? Well, like most things with Elon, it started as a joke. It turns out the idea was inspired by the movie Spaceballs, where characters actually sell a flamethrower as merch. Inspired, Elon thought why not, and listed the flamethrower for sale. But to dodge customs regulations, he had to label it not a flamethrower. Classic Elon. And that's how the man aiming to reach Mars also became the guy who sold 20,000 flamethrowers. Just for fun.
I'm getting some round earth checks
You're
to
getting
keep
some
the
payola,
nonsense
some
going.
round earth payola for your show.
I'm sure you've seen the basketball player who graduated from Duke.
That was hitting the news the last couple of days.
And
I saw
he
that.
believes that dinosaurs are fake and that the world is flat.
Okay, so here's the thing, Joe. Okay, here, I've thought about this.
I bet you have.
As an educator, I've thought about this. Okay, so here's what matters. All right, we live in a free country. People should be able to think whatever they want, whenever they want, provided it doesn't subtract away from someone else's rights. Okay, so thinking the Earth is flat doesn't harm anyone, unless you want to run for office or you want some position of power over other people. That's when it's dangerous. I'm thinking of elevator banks where they have numbers. You know, I have a photo essay of what elevators look like inside. I know it's just...
You mean the gears? And
No, not even that geeky. Just what are the numbers on the panel?
Oh, without the 13, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So about 80% of buildings taller than 12 stories don't have a 13th floor. Okay? And so this trixidecaphobia is, again, in a free country, if you want to be afraid of the number 13, go right ahead. It just seems to me you should not be tasked with designing elevators if that's your fear. Find something else to do.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, everyone's favorite science communicator, often faces down some pretty wild misconceptions. First up, the moon landing deniers. Tyson recalls showing a skeptic NASA's photos of the Apollo landing sites. Footprints, flags, everything. But predictably, the skeptic waved it off as fake. Tyson laughs, saying that for some people, evidence is just astronomically hard to accept. Then he dives into flat Earth theories and even the belief that dinosaurs never existed. He's met people who genuinely believe this, and he takes it all in his stride. Tyson explains that for some, conspiracies are just more exciting than actual science. But instead of getting frustrated, Tyson sees these as teaching moments. With a blend of humor and curiosity, he shares insights into why these ideas persist and what they reveal about human nature. For Tyson, busting myths isn't just about setting the facts straight. It's about showing us how fascinating and sometimes funny we can be.
Like shit.
Isn't that crazy how dependent you are?
But that's when the light bulb started to click.
Yeah.
It started to click. Like how did we function without? I want to go backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
It's still there. I still need it. I still think it's dope with all of the things that we can do on it. But I still want to be able to put it down and step away from it. I want my kids to be able to step away from it. That's why when I come in the house, my phone is up. Because I can't bitch and complain at y'all about being on your phone if you see me doing the same thing.
Right.
So that time, those conversations, me wanting to know about your day, you talking to me about your day, your friends, who you like, who don't you like. My daughter, you, what boy, who, what, huh? No. All right, God. My son, yeah, I like somebody. Who? Oh, Jesus, here it comes. It's a great thing. And I want to be able to have those moments. And, you know, I think it's big to make sure that you prioritize that. I laughed. There's a viral video of this old guy trying to hoverboard. He's like, he's got to be like 69, 70. And, you know, his grandkids are there, and he's like, let me try it. Let me try it. And this man gets on this hoverboard and takes... If you saw Mike Tyson fall on a hoverboard, his fall was worse than Mike Tyson's. I've never seen somebody hit their head harder in my life. And I didn't laugh out of wanting to see this old man hurt himself. I laughed because it was stupid to try to get on this hoverboard in the first place. And when he got up, he tells the kids, why is it moving like that? I played this video for everybody because that shit made me laugh. Some people will watch it and go, oh, no. Some people will watch it and go, oh. And others will just die fucking laughing because everybody's humor is different.
Yeah.
Everybody's fucking humor is different. My humor is different. Falling makes me laugh. I don't care who you are. Falling makes me laugh. I don't give a shit who you are. If you fall in front of me, no shot I'm holding that laugh in. There's no shot. There's no shot. You don't stand a chance. If you fall in front of me, there's no shot that I'm not, bust your ass. Something's got to come out.
Right.
Falling is funny. I still think, it's hacky. I still think farts are funny. When my kids fart, I laugh. I still, to this day, it's the funniest shit ever to me. Nah, come on, stop it, man. You stink. Get out of here. Stink ass. My little son, 17 months, when he fart, I laugh. Something within just the ability to just be fucking silly and stupid.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't always have to have a meaning behind it. Some shit is just stupid.
My 8-year-old farts on cue. She thinks it's hilarious.
First of all, that's genius.
She'll tell you, listen, I got to talk to you about something. She goes, that's it.
Then go.
And she starts laughing.
Genius.
She thinks it's hilarious. She'll fall down the couch.
It's the best thing in the world.
She can't stop laughing.
It's the best thing in the world. What are you talking about? As a kid, that's all you got. That's your only bit as a kid. You got nothing else but farts. That's all you got. That's all you got to make people laugh. You should enjoy it.
Yeah.
You should. I still think it's funny. Falling is number one for me. Falling is number one. My wife fell down the steps. She got so mad because I didn't rush to help her. I laughed for about a good. She had a wine glass. Wine was all over the walls. Oh my God. One of the worst falls I've ever seen in my damn life. Got up. Her shoe was on one step. The other shoe was all. Falling is funny.
I think one of the funniest and saddest things about us today is how completely helpless we'd be without our phones. What about you guys? Kevin Hart nails it in a story about his phone dying while he's using GPS. Suddenly, he's like, what do I do now? How did people get around before this? He even drives to a store just to buy a charger so he can find his way home. The way he describes the sheer panic of not knowing where he was going is hilarious and so relatable. He's right, we've totally lost some basic skills thanks to tech. Then Kevin goes on to talk about humor in its simplest form, like people falling down. He admits he can't help but laugh, even when it's his own family. His kids' obsession with fart jokes, he finds that hilarious too. But his top story, when his wife took a tumble down the stairs, complete with a spilt glass of wine. Kevin's delivery makes it all even funnier as he captures the chaos of that moment, saying it's all about finding humor in the little everyday things.
But the main thing is conspiracy theories, right? Everybody wants to believe in conspiracy theories because it helps life make sense. It helps us believe that somebody is in control, right? That somebody is calling the shots, that these things all happen for a reason, this, that, and the other. There are real conspiracies, but they're not typically, they've got tens of thousands of people working on them unless you're talking about the existence of the intelligence community itself, which is basically constructed on the idea that you can get, I think there's 4 million or 1.4 million people in the United States who hold security clearances. And you can get all of these people to not talk, ever, to journalists, or this, that, or the other. But when you look back at the 9/11 report, and when you look back at the history of what actually happened, what we can prove, right? Not what we can speculate on, but what are at least the commonly agreed facts. It's very clear to me, as someone who worked in the intelligence community, not during this period, of course, I was too young, but very shortly thereafter, that these attacks could have been prevented. And in fact, the government says this too. But the government goes, the reason that these attacks happened, the reason that they weren't prevented, is what they call stovepiping, right? There was not enough sharing. They needed to break down the walls and the restrictions that were chaining these poor patriots at the NSA and the CIA and the FBI from all working on the same team. And to some extent, they're correct on this, right? There were limits on the way agencies were supposed to play ball with each other, but I worked there, and I know how much of this is bullshit and how much of this is not. Those are procedural and policy limits, in some cases legal limits on what can be shared without following a process, without doing this, that, or the other, without basically asking for permission, without getting a sign-off, or anything like that. If the FBI wanted to send absolutely everything they had to the CIA, they could have done so. If the CIA wanted to send everything they had to the FBI, they could have done so. They didn't, and people died as a result. Now,
All right, the fourth clip is about Edward Snowden. Yep, that's the guy who blew the whistle on government surveillance back in 2013 and basically made everyone rethink privacy. Some see him as a hero, others as a traitor, but love or hate him, Snowden's insights are eye-opening. In this clip, Snowden breaks down why we're obsessed with conspiracy theories. We just love thinking someone's pulling the strings. But he flips it, saying most real conspiracies aren't even that complicated. Instead, he talks about how the CIA, FBI, and NSA didn't prevent 9/11, not because of some huge hidden agenda, but because they were too busy competing with each other to actually work together. Everyone wanted the credit, so they just kept info to themselves. It's not some evil master plan. At the end of the day, it's just the government being messy and self-centered. Kind of wild, right? Anyway, what do you guys think?
Like, I'll smoke some weed and I'll think about a lie I told in high school and it'll fuck with me. It really will. I'll think about some shit that I did in high school and it'll make me go, oh, why the fuck did I say that? Like, that's one of the crazy things about marijuana. It never lets you forget. It'll bring those things up that you're trying to hide. But alcohol's like, don't worry about it, pussy. Alcohol is the best drug if you're trying to hold back a lie. Just throw that down. And, as soon as you can't walk straight, you're thinking about that. As soon as you're thinking about the song that's playing, you're thinking about your whatever. You're thinking about other things. It's a good close your focus drug, whereas pot is the opposite. Pot is a open your focus. This is fascinating, though, isn't it, Jamie?
You forget you have a secret.
Yeah, you forget. You don't give a fuck about your secrets. I mean, that's why people make horrible sexual decisions when they're drunk. It's also why people think that people that are drunk you shouldn't have sex with someone who's drunk, even if you're drunk. I mean, that's why the crazy feminists try to say that that's rape. That if a man and woman have sex and they're drunk, it's rape. Well, they say it because you're obviously not exactly of sound. I mean, it depends on how drunk you are, right? Yeah. But at a certain level, you're certainly impaired and you can't make good decisions. It's funny, though, that a guy who's just such an athlete, lifelong athlete, fucking pounds the hooch like that. Well, I'll ask him how often he does it. We were talking about marijuana and whether or not you used marijuana while you were holding back all those lies and how it would fuck with you. Because when I was, I'll get high and I'll think about some shit I lied about in high school, and I'll go like, oh, paranoia, and it'll illuminate areas of your life that you're trying to avoid. The economy of all this is a fascinating aspect of it, because there were a lot of people that were making money off of you racing. A lot of people. There was a gigantic industry. And for them to pretend that they didn't know what I knew as a fucking comedian who, again, peripherally watched cycling. I'd watch you win, and I'd be like, damn, that motherfucker won again? Damn. That's it, I mean, I never raced bikes. I never rode bikes. So for me, and I knew, I'm like, how the fuck does the U.S. Post Office not know? How the fuck does Nike not know? How the fuck does... They know. They can pretend they don't know, but they know. If they didn't know, then they're irresponsible. That's irresponsible. But they kind of knew, and they just said, it's all right. We're getting away with it. We're getting away with it. But then, once the shit came down, then they all wanted their money back.
Yeah.
All right, so picture this. Lance Armstrong, cycling legend, sitting down with Joe to talk about the one thing nobody can forget, the whole doping scandal. Lance gets into it around the 1 hour mark, and honestly, it's kind of wild. He's like, yeah, I know I went from hero to villain real quick, and you can just feel the weight of it all as he talks about how everyone was ready to drag him down. But here's the thing, he doesn't just brush it off, he gets real about the crazy pressure of staying at the top. The guy basically had the entire world cheering him on one day and throwing tomatoes the next. He breaks it down like, imagine if your whole life was one big performance review, and suddenly everyone decided you flunked. Talking about a high he'll never forget. And it's not all doom and gloom. Joe's face says it all. Like, dude, that sounds rough. And they share this moment where it's like, yeah, everyone makes mistakes, but not everyone has it broadcast to the universe. So if you've ever wondered what it's like to go from icon to outcast, this clip nails it. What do you guys think? Can you feel for the guy?
What else happened on the show numerous times? Like I did a scene with the rapper Fabulous, and he was great. It was a scene where I shot the guy in the ass. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. All right. I'm supposed to shoot him in the thigh because I'm a marksman and I get money from him, and I shoot him in the ass by mistake. But I shot it with Fabulous, and then a few weeks later they said, listen, you got to reshoot that scene. So right away I go, well, I fucked up? No. They changed Fabulous to Tretch, naughty by nature.
Yeah.
Good guy. They said he looked too young.
Cruise ship. He's rented this fucking cruise ship, thrown off all the chefs and everything, bring on his own people.
Whoa.
And they're going to go from Kobe to Shanghai, and he wants the entertainment to be Jay Leno, Penn and Teller, and Ringo Starr.
Whoa.
Okay, that's what it's going to be on the China Sea on a cruise boat for like 200 people. And he books it. And as I said to my friend, Biff the Magic Dragon, I said, do you know how much it costs to shut down Penn and Teller in Vegas and fly us all to fucking Japan to be on a cruise ship to do a fucking Penn and Teller show and then come back? Do you have any idea how much that costs? And Biff said, no. And I said, me neither. But it must be a lot. You got to talk to my managers or something, because that must have been a shit ton of money.
That song actually gave them, there was so much of a hit that they were a one-hit wonder then, and he had to become a truck driver to supplement his income. He then signed on as a solo artist, had 5 more songs on his own.
Oh.
Didn't obviously work out that well. Then he became the first host of Wheel of Fortune in 1975.
Oh, there you go.
What?
What do you know?
Pat Stage Jack's been doing it since 1981.
I love how...
That's great. So how long did he do it for?
6 years, 5,
He
6
did
years.
Wheel of Fortune for 6 years?
Jeez.
All right, here's a quick dive into some unforgettable moments on the Joe Rogan Experience that will keep you hooked. First up, Steve Sharipa reveals a crazy bit of Sopranos trivia and how you can actually get it in the ass. Then we've got Penn Jillette sharing this wild story of how he rented an entire house next to his own just to hold his Las Vegas show props. Finally, we jump to Macaulay Culkin, reminiscing about the Home Alone theme song. Can you imagine grabbing toothpaste at CVS and suddenly, da-da-da-da, he's like, geez, I can't even escape it. These stories are pure gold. Makes you wonder what other wild stories Joe has lined up. Stay tuned to find out, and let's get back into it.
Was that Tyson's first fight when he came out of jail?
Oh, wow.
And he beat the shit out of
Peter
the Irish
McNeely.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at a whole bunch of them. And then they would have Saturday afternoons at the Showboat on the outside of town. I would go to a lot of those with great fights. Then, they had Wednesday night fights at... it was a Silver Slipper where the Mirage is. I used to go back then. I haven't been to a fight in years.
They used to have a lot of fights at the Orleans, too, right?
Orleans, that
Yeah.
was later on. Yeah, later on.
Later on.
But the Silver Slipper was just a shithole local place.
There's a
And-
lot of those in Vegas.
And yeah, a local place, and they would have these great fighters. They would come in from L.A. and Top Rank was a big deal then, and Aram's been around, forever.
Ali came to the set one day in Sopranos. Visited. He was a fan of the show, and his manager contacted my manager, and I met him in front of the studio and brought him onto the set, and nobody knew he was coming. And Gandolfini was like in bed. He was doing when he was in the coma. It was all that stuff. And he was like taking a nap between takes, and I brought Ali, and the whole crew just like froze. And then I brought him up to the bed, and I tapped Jim. Jim turned around, looked up, he went, holy shit. And he hung out the whole day, man. Took pictures.
Wow.
Every crew. People gave him a standing ovation. People were crying. It was crazy.
Wow.
He was such a star and such an iconic figure that my parents, who were hippies, they didn't give a fuck about fighting, But when he fought Spinks in the rematch, they made us watch it. We were living in San Francisco, and we're like, you have to watch this. Muhammad Ali is fighting Leon Spinks. He's gonna get his title back. Like, it was a big deal because he wasn't just a boxer. Like, it's hard for people to realize that now in retrospect, but when I was a kid during the Vietnam War, he was also a symbol of the resistance to this unjust war that we didn't want to be a part of. He's a guy who lost 3 years of his career because he wouldn't fight in the war. And so they stripped him of his title in his prime. Like, he beat Cleveland Big Cat Williams, probably the finest performance of his young career. And then for 3 years, he doesn't do shit until he comes back. And, you know, he transcended sports.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, God, yeah.
All over the world.
All over the world.
Here's a Vegas story that only Steve Sharipa could tell. So he's at this legendary Tyson fight, sitting in VIP with everyone, big names, athletes, even Muhammad Ali himself. Then Steve spots this guy who doesn't quite fit, dressed like a mob extra, slick suit, pinky rings, the guy's barely watching the fight. Instead, he's working the room, introducing himself like he's a big deal. Steve sums it up perfectly. Vegas just brings out people who think they're somebody, even if no one else does. Only at a Tyson fight would you get this mix of real legends and wannabes. Classic Vegas, right?
Vengeance is mine, said the Lord. So it's not a matter of going in for revenge. That's just me as a human being where I fall short. Like, I'm not a monk.
Can you explain what you're talking about with Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee? Like, what I lost you there.
Okay, so Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee were both murdered.
Well, Brandon Lee died in an accident on a movie set.
Yeah.
But you think it was a murder?
I felt...
That's a conspiracy, right? The conspiracy was that the Chinese triad killed him the same way they killed Bruce. But the coroner's report was that Bruce died from a reaction to a medication, right?
Yeah, I mean, but I think about that anytime I go to the hospital. I'm very, I'm mindful of that stuff. You think about, like, Bob Marley. They didn't just JFK or MLK him. There's like reports that it was something in his toe, or
he had cancer, right? I believe he had a skin cancer.
Yeah, like I went to go. I got a shot in my hand because just from texting and stuff, my thumb was like hurt, and then I posted.
You text so much you hurt your thumb?
Absolutely, just texting way too much. So I post a picture of the screen at the hospital, and then I was asked to take it down.
By who?
People just called me. I'm forgetting exactly who asked me, but it was like they got to my management, they got to this, and they said, take that picture down. Like, the hospital, it was in the weirdest place, so.
What did they not like about the picture?
I think it might have had some information on it that they didn't want to go out, like an address or something like that. And it's just like, but I don't want to go down these rabbit holes. I'm just saying, like, Michael Jackson not waking up one day, Prince not waking up one day, Bruce and Brandon Lee, Bob Marley, all of these things have crossed my mind, as I'm going and saying, I need to innovate what these contracts are, not just for me, but for all artists. It's not about me getting my masters back. It's about freedom.
In this clip from the Joe Rogan Experience, Kanye West dives deep into what drives him, starting with the line, "Vengeance is mine, said the Lord." Kanye reflects on how he's fought for his vision and integrity, especially in an industry that often exploits artists. He explains that for him, it's never been about revenge or personal gain, it's about breaking free from a system that keeps artists trapped. As he talks, Kanye shares about how his journey went from building wealth and success to something much bigger, almost a mission to uplift others and set new standards for fairness in music. Kanye's passion here is raw and unfiltered. He's not holding back, calling out the contracts that he feels are designed to rape artists, and stating that his fight is not just about me getting my masters back, it's about freedom. It's a powerful insight into Kanye's drive to change the industry. What do you guys think? Can Kanye lead this revolution? I mean, at the end of the day, he even ran as president in 2020, so maybe he is up for bigger things.
The conspiracy theory world went south for me when I did a television show about it. I did that Joe Rogan Questions Everything show, and I spent 6-7 months doing this show, and at the end of it, I was like, okay, I get it. This is a bunch of unfuckable white guys. That's what it really is. Yeah. That's what I decided. I said, I had a bit about it. I said, the one thing you don't find when you go looking for Bigfoot? Black people. You're more likely to find Bigfoot than you are black guys looking for Bigfoot. It is a bunch of unfuckable white dudes out camping and listening. What did you hear that? What is that? It's like, it's nonsense. Like you're wrapped up in this idea that there's a mystery and there's a quality about human beings where we want to uncover secrets. We want to be the person that finds out the truth, because then your miserable, shitty fucking life now doesn't matter. The fucking aliens are real, man. They're here.
And aha. One of the best feelings we can get, probably better than coming, is that feeling of aha. I understand. I've gotten a revelation. And we see this all the time. Detective shows, Sherlock Holmes, nothing to do with police work.
Yeah.
But there is a feeling that, wouldn't it be nice if in this hour I were able to figure something out?
Yes.
Because if you want to understand string theory, you're not going to do it in an hour.
You're not going to do it ever.
Exactly.
I don't think those guys understand it even if they teach
Precisely.
it.
Well, let's take an easier one. Let's take a candle flame. You're never going to understand that.
Right.
Studying that forever. And there's an area where conspiracy theories are exercising the muscles of logic, exercising the muscles of skepticism, playing around with the haiku of if then, playing around with what we feel about the government and other people and stuff like that. And you're playing around with all of that in kind of a semi-safe zone. And even watching you just do it here, where you bang out that stuff and say, this is the stuff I question, what's coming out of that poetically, and let's not even talk about whether we went to the moon or not. What's coming out of your style of inquiry on that kind of thing, your style of skepticism, is just fascinating and beautiful. And I see the conspiracy thing as not so much a breaking down, which I used to see it as, a breaking down of science and reason, but I see it as rather a creation of a new form of poetry.
All right, next up, we've got Penn Jillette. Yeah, the magician and comedian from Penn and Teller. The guy's a legend, and he's here breaking down the wild world of conspiracy theories. In this clip, Penn talks about why people are so obsessed with conspiracies. He jokes that people just need to believe someone's secretly in control of everything, even if it's some evil mastermind, because it's less scary than admitting the world is just kinda chaotic. Penn calls it a new kind of poetry, people trying to find meaning in all the random stuff happening around them. It could almost fall under the category of modern art, since that one doesn't make sense either. Only Penn could make conspiracy theories sound like art. What do you think? Do you get the hype?
Our problem is a disconnection more than anything. And let me tell you something. When the COVID lockdown happened, I got more requests from friends and more requests for information about hunting and gun ownership. How do I protect myself and how do I feed myself and how do I grow food? Those were 3 really big questions that I kept getting from people.
It's funny. I have such a different perspective on it in terms of just the relationship between myself. And I didn't. I was a big meat eater. I was a big deli guy. Pastrami and corned beef and all that. My wife got into rescue and these types of things. And we ended up with a farm with pigs and goats and sheep and things like that. And it became untenable for me to make that decision. That sort of that decision of, I think you'll be better off if I kill you. And it was something I could no longer manage once I knew the process of it. And it's been a very hard process for me. It's only been about 4 or 5 years.
How is your health?
I'm an old Jew, so baseline, pretty much, we don't age well to begin with.
How old are you now, John?
We age a bit like avocados when you leave them out. I'm 57.
I'm 52. So we're in similar boats.
Similar boat.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to know. I feel good. If you look at markers like cholesterol or blood pressure or those things, it's better. But like you say, I don't know enough about how the body processes to know if I feel better. The numbers say I'm better. But, genetics, I'm sure, plays a part in it as well. But the funny thing is, like, I don't even think about it anymore. Like, I just don't even think about it anymore.
Well, once you get into a custom, and once your gut biome changes, you really get accustomed to whatever you're eating, good or bad, unfortunately. And that's one of the reasons why people have such a hard time quitting sugar and bread and pasta and things along those lines. So your body just craves it. That's what it wants. When you start eating healthier food, your body does crave that.
You can go off of meat and still be incredibly unhealthy. Like, you can be vegan and just exist on Lay's potato chips.
Right.
And so it is, and it's a tougher road, and the world is certainly not, it's not built for that. And it certainly feels a little bit of a narrower lane that you have to do. And I also think it's an incredibly emotional topic.
In this clip, we have Jon Stewart, the host of the famous TV show The Daily Show, who dived deep into vegetarianism as a movement. As we know from previous videos, Joe is an avid meat eater, hunter, and gun owner, but yeah, pretty open-minded. He dives into this personal conversation with Jon about his newly acquired diet, and that his wife presented it to him. Do you guys think this is a classic my wife says moment, or does he actually believe in the positive impact that a veggie-only diet can have on the planet and the body? Also, was I the only one not knowing of the Jewish effect of quick aging? Please let me know in the comments.
I think it was when they opened up the books for that fight. It was 1,000 to 1 for McGregor to win by decision. I almost put $1,000 on that just anyway, just on principle.
Just to see. I know, right?
just like, wow, I just won $1
million.
I just won $1 million. I mean, there's
so
a reason why it was
crazy.
1,000 to 1, but I kind of want to just sit there and like turn to my friends like, I think I just won $1 million.
Do you know how crazy that would be to win $1 million by putting down
like $1,000 bet?
Holy shit. There's been some crazy, but those bets are nuts. Like, will it make it out of the first round? Well,
yeah.
By decision. And they even have like disqualification bets.
Yeah. Like exactly. Like I used to play a lot of cards, and like I love prop bets. Just like like in that moment, it's like I bet you like I can guess within $100 how many chips are in front of you right now, like like that kind of stuff, or like or it's like all right, like give me a 1 in 10 chance you pull out a $1 bill from your pocket and whatever the last number is, like if I get it right, you can pay me 10 to 1, like just like weird prop bets, like people like they like. Players like kind of go nuts with that kind of stuff.
Well, gambling junkies do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Look, I remember I was playing cards at this one club, and this guy just was sports betting like crazy. But now it's like like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and he's looking down. He goes, "Does anyone know anything about cricket?" And like that was the only game that was going on. There was a cricket game in India, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna like late." I was like, "Dude, you actually have a problem. Like that's like like you have to like that's a problem. You're betting on cricket. What are you doing, man? It's 2 in the morning. Anyone know anything about cricket?"
Well, that's the crazy thing about those sports books. You can look up and watch that shit.
Yeah.
You get, like, here's a bunch of horses.
Yeah.
Who's gonna win?
I have a buddy who does like is into the races and stuff like that, and like he streams it from like all. It is kind of fun.
Horse racing?
Yeah, it's kind of like, but you kind of just randomly oh, sure, number 8. Like,
I knew
and then just like, come on, 8.
I knew a guy who got banned for life from chariot races for trying to rig a race. Because his horse was winning and his horse wasn't supposed to win. He's literally standing up, pulling back on the reins as his horse was winning.
It's like just like, come on.
He's trying to slow him down.
Quit it.
That shit.
Cut that shit off.
His name was George the Greek. That's what we used to call him.
Wow.
Guy from a pool hall in White Plains, New York.
Yeah, the Greek is like, it's like because there was Jimmy the Greek back in the day.
Yeah, he was always trying to, like, he was always telling us, what is that?
It's a little vape.
Oh, no, go ahead.
All right, cool, thanks.
He was always telling us that he was going to win the lawsuit. I got Kunstler. Kunstler was his lawyer. I got Kunstler working on the case. I got this fucking thing. I got him locked down. Yeah.
Chariot racing. How do you get into chariot racing, too?
Up next, we've got a fun throwback with Macaulay Culkin on the Joe Rogan Experience. Here, Macaulay shares a wild story about Hollywood's surprising side hustle, sports bets. He talks about how, back in the day, studio heads would actually gamble on these wild, ancient-style races, and let's just say that wasn't exactly legal. Macaulay dives into how bizarre it was to hear about these ultra-wealthy execs casually throwing down bets on, of all things, chariot races. It's like something straight out of a movie, but it actually happened. Then Joe jumps in, asking, wait, how do you even get into chariot racing? And Macaulay just laughs, admitting it's the last thing you'd expect from the Hollywood elite. And with this one, we are going to wrap it up for today. You just watched the top 10 guests on the JRE in my opinion, and now it's time to hear yours. Let us know in the comments the ranking from these videos and which one gets the title of number 1 for you. If you liked the video, remember to leave a thumbs up, and we'll see you again soon with more on Podcast Crazy.
Well, how much does the Earth cost? think
It's
about
not a bad question.
But
how much is the Earth worth?
Yeah,
right
what
now?
is the Earth
Everything.
worth?
All the things on Earth.
Yeah, and it's saying we can't buy it. We couldn't make enough money to buy the Earth, right? So that means we made money. So if money is the key to all people's happiness and will solve everything and everyone's doing things for money, let's just make more money. But it's not about making more money. It's about keeping poor people poor and rich people rich and keeping people in their place. And right now, we're experiencing the fall of Rome, or the Titanic has now hit a glacier. And there's people who would prefer to go down with the Titanic than to get on a lifeboat because they don't want to get seawater on their dress or on their nice outfit. The people are so programmed and brainwashed into classism and protectionism that it's difficult for people to embrace innovation unless it has a tag on it that's got a name brand connected to it that says, with this innovation, you will be better than the person, you'll be better than your next door neighbor.